It's just after midnight when Sarah opens her front door. Her food is still warm. The driver is already gone. And sitting beside the takeout bag is an object that has no reason to be there at all. At first, she thinks it's some kind of delivery freebie, a keychain, a coupon, a promotion. But when she picks it up, it doesn't feel like any of those things. It feels heavy, deliberate, wrong. Within hours, the driver who dropped off her food will vanish from the app. His profile will go dark. His phone will stop ringing. And that one object on her doorstep will become the only trace that he was ever there. Tonight, we're looking at a case that begins with something almost everyone does without thinking: ordering late-night takeout. A normal craving, a familiar app, a stranger bringing food to your door. But somewhere between that order being placed and that food arriving, something went very wrong. A driver disappeared. A company pulled his profile, and a single, unexplained item was left behind like a calling card that no one can quite interpret. This is not about jump scares or urban legends. It's about a real, unsettling gap in a timeline that should be simple. A delivery, a doorbell, a drop-off, and then nothing. This is Dark File Archive, and this is the story of a delivery that left more questions than answers. Sarah's night starts like many of ours do. It's late, she's tired, she doesn't feel like cooking. She scrolls through her phone while the TV plays in the background, half watching, half doom-scrolling when the craving hits. She opens a delivery app she's used 100 times before. A familiar restaurant, a usual order. She notices the estimated delivery time, the driver's first name, the little moving icon on the map. Nothing about it feels strange. The order is confirmed. The screen shows a face, a man in his 30s, maybe in a generic profile photo, a rating that's solid but not perfect, dozens of completed deliveries. There's nothing to suggest his next stop will be his last. The tracking updates, food being prepared, driver en route, driver arriving. Sarah glances at the live map a couple of times, just out of habit. The car icon weaves through city streets she vaguely recognizes. One turn, another, then it stops just outside her building. Her doorbell rings. On the footage from her smart doorbell camera, the interaction looks boring, uneventful. The driver stands there in a dark jacket, cap pulled low, a large insulated bag over one shoulder. He holds the takeout bag with both hands, waits a few seconds, then reaches for the doorbell again. Sarah opens the door, she thanks him. He nods, says something polite that the mic doesn't fully catch, something like "have a good night." It's a matter-of-fact exchange. No small talk, no visible tension. She closes the door. The footage shows him turning away, walking down the short path toward the street. The camera's motion sensor stops recording. As far as the digital record is concerned, that's where his story ends. Inside, Sarah drops the food on the kitchen counter. She's half focused on her show, half on her phone. She tosses the receipt aside, opens a container, and reaches for napkins. That's when she notices it. Near the bottom of the takeout bag, tucked just beside the receipt, is a small black object. It doesn't look like a sauce container. It doesn't look like a restaurant freebie. It's about the size of a large coin, but thicker. Matte black, no logo, no brand. On one side, there's a faint etched symbol she doesn't recognize. On the other, a tiny, barely visible seam and what looks like a pinhole or sensor. She turns it over in her fingers. It's heavier than it looks. Not plastic, not cardboard. Metal maybe, or something dense. Her first thought is that it's a tracking device. Her second thought is that she's being paranoid. She checks the bag again. No note, no explanation, nothing printed on the receipt. The restaurant name is familiar, the items are correct, everything else is normal. Just food and this thing. At first, she laughs it off, takes a picture, sends it to a friend with a joke. Did my delivery come with a spy gadget? The friend replies with a mix of emojis and guesses. Maybe it fell out of the driver's bag. Maybe it's some kind of security tag. Maybe it's a fancy key fob. One of those things that probably has a boring explanation. But the more they look at the photo, the less boring it seems. There's no branding, no obvious purpose. Just that small, sharp symbol scratched into one side. Sarah taps the app and goes back to the order details. She pulls up the driver's profile. Same first name, Same picture, same rating. It shows the delivery as completed. No issue reported, no problem flagged. She debates leaving a comment about the object, but stops. What would she even say? Instead, she decides to message the driver directly through the app. "Hey, I think you left something in the bag. Black round thing." No response. She assumes he's busy with another delivery. An hour passes. Still nothing. When she checks again, something has changed. The driver's name is still there, but his profile picture is gone. The rating is missing. And where there was once a history of previous deliveries, there's only a blank page and a message. This account is no longer active. At first, Sarah thinks it's a glitch. Apps bug out all the time. But when she tries to message the driver again, the option is gone. The chat log disappears. It's as if he never delivered to her at all. She contacts customer support. She explains that the driver left something behind, that she just wants to return it or at least mention it in case he's lost something important. The response she gets is polite but unsettling. They apologize for the confusion. They tell her the driver's account has been deactivated. They say they can't share personal details but assure her that the situation is being handled. When she asks what situation means, they don't answer. Customer support offers a small credit for the inconvenience. They recommend she discard any non-food items for safety reasons. They say that if she feels uncomfortable, she can contact local authorities. That last line hits differently. Uncomfortable. About what? A wrong order, a forgotten object, or something they're not telling her. Sarah decides to hold onto the object. She places it in a small plastic bag, as if it's evidence of something she doesn't yet understand. The next day, she reviews the doorbell footage again. She watches every frame, looking for something she missed. The way the driver shifts his weight, the way he glances past her shoulder, the way he hesitates for just a second before he turns away. There's nothing overtly threatening, but something about his body language seems heavy. Like he's distracted, or worried, or thinking about something else entirely. Sarah shows the footage to a friend. They both fixate on the same detail. As he turns away, the driver's right hand brushes the side of the bag, almost as if he's checking that everything is there. Like he's making sure something stayed behind. That night, Sarah posts about the experience in a local community group. She shares a still from the doorbell video with the face blurred. She posts the photo of the object, carefully cropped so no address or personal detail appears. The responses roll in. People offer guesses about what the object is. A GPS tracker, a Bluetooth tag, a piece of industrial equipment, a component from some larger device. Someone suggests using a scanner or metal detector. Someone else warns her not to try to open it. Then quietly, another type of comment appears. "I think I got something like this once. My cousin drives deliveries and said a driver on his platform went missing mid-shift. I heard about a case where a driver's car was found, but not the driver." Nothing is concrete, nothing is verified. It's a swirl of rumors and partial memories. But a pattern begins to emerge in the comments, small, unexplained objects left behind. Driver accounts that suddenly vanish, stories that trail off without a clear ending. Sarah calls the non-emergency police line and explains what happened. She emphasizes that she isn't claiming a crime has occurred, just that it feels wrong. An officer visits, looks at the object, takes a brief statement. They bag it as potential evidence just in case. They don't promise much. They tell her they'll follow up with the company. And for a while, nothing happens. Behind the scenes, there are only fragments of information. We know the driver's route should have continued after Sarah's house. We know his next assigned order was never picked up. We know his vehicle was registered, but not reported stolen. What we don't know is what happened between the moment he walked off her doorstep and the moment his account went dark. Did he quit mid-shift and walk away from the job? Did something happen on the road that night that never made it to the news feeds? Or was he deliberately removed from the system because of something the company discovered and isn't sharing? The object itself becomes the focal point of speculation. Without lab reports or official statements, all we have are theories. One theory says it's a simple technological device, maybe part of a third-party tracking system for drivers. Something that fell out of his pocket or bag. If that's true, then the timing of his disappearance is a chilling coincidence. Another theory is darker, that the object was planted. That it wasn't his at all. That someone used the delivery as a way to get close to Sarah's door, to leave something there without drawing suspicion. And that the driver, whoever he really was just a convenient face on an app. A third theory looks outward, at the broader gig economy. Delivery drivers work alone, often late at night, in unfamiliar neighborhoods under pressure to move quickly and keep their ratings high. If something happens to them, if they're followed, threatened, or worse, it may go unnoticed until they simply stop accepting orders and their profile quietly disappears. App-based work leaves a digital trail, but those trails are controlled by companies. A driver can have hundreds of interactions in a week, and very little of that becomes public record. If an account is shut down, the rest of us may only ever see a bland message, no longer active. And yet behind those two words, there could be a story like this one. As people discuss Sarah's case online, others begin sharing screenshots and anecdotes. Drivers who stopped mid-route, orders that were reassigned without explanation, support messages that hint at ongoing investigations without details. Are these isolated glitches in a huge system? Or are they small pieces of a bigger pattern we're not meant to see? By late 2025, safety conversations around gig work are louder than ever. Drivers are encouraged to use dash cams. Customers are told to meet deliveries in well-lit areas. Apps add safety check-ins and emergency buttons. But at the heart of this story is something technology can't easily fix. The moment when one human being disappears from the record and the only thing left behind is a strange, silent object that no one can explain. We still don't know definitively what the item on Sarah's doorstep was. We don't know if it was left there on purpose. We don't know if it was meant for her, for someone else, or not meant for anyone at all. We don't know where the driver went after he walked out of frame. Whether he's alive and simply chose to vanish from that job. Whether he was the victim of something that happened off camera. Or whether the app quietly absorbed the story, flagged it, and buried it in logs and legal documents we'll never see. What we do have are questions. How much do we really know about the people who bring food to our doors at night? And how much do they know about us? For viewers, there are practical takeaways. If something about a delivery feels wrong, an unexpected item, a driver who seems distressed, an interaction that lingers in your mind, document it. Save the receipts, keep the screenshots, preserve the footage. Report what you can, not just to the company, but to local authorities if it crosses that line from inconvenient to unnerving. And for drivers, especially those working alone, the risks are real. You're stepping into unlit hallways, remote addresses, and situations you can't fully predict. Don't ignore that instinct that tells you something is off. Your safety matters more than a rating, a tip, or a completed route. In the end, Sarah's story sits in that uneasy space between mundane and terrifying. A late-night meal, an anonymous driver, a single, unexplained object that should not have been there. Was it a mistake? A warning? A piece of technology we don't yet understand? Or the only remaining fingerprint of a disappearance no one was meant to notice? Let me know what you think in the comments. If this landed on your doorstep, what would you have done? And if you've ever experienced something strange tied to a delivery, driver or customer, share your story. If you want more real cases where ordinary moments twist into something impossible, consider subscribing to Dark File Archive. And tell me, what kind of file should we open next?